Watching characters grow and develop into better versions of themselves is one of the most enjoyable aspects of a good anime series. This transformation can be rather drastic, to the point where the character is a completely different person by the end of the series. There's My Hero Academia's Izuku Midoriya, who moves from being a powerless middle schooler to a fearsome hero, despite the fact that he still cries all the time, and Yona of the Dawn, who starts out as a spoiled princess but grows into a true leader who cares about her people. Many of the best anime characters start off as completely unlikable jerks, but as they get older, they become more endearing. Given how long some anime series go on for, it would be boring if characters' personalities remained static for dozens of episodes. Number 1. When Ren Mihashi of Big Wind-Up was in middle school, he was a lousy baseball player in middle school, especially when it came to pitching. His team was losing nearly all of their games, and they began to abuse him out of frustration. Ren enters high school with nervousness, low self-esteem, and no desire to play baseball ever again as a result. He's pulled into it anyhow, and when his new squad is truly pleasant to him, he starts to develop slowly. He's a lot more confident and a pretty decent player by the end of the series. Number 2. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX's Shou Marufuji, known as Cirrus Truesdale in the dub, isn't very good at duel monsters. Since he attends Duel Academy, where card gaming skills are a large part of the curriculum, this is a big thing. He's not only bad at card games, but he's also afraid, clinging, and defines himself in terms of the people he admires, specifically his best buddy Jide and his older brother Ryo. Things start to change for Shou as the series develops, albeit this shift regrettably comes in the form of a very nasty awakening call. Shou finds that his brother and buddy are more weaker and crueler than he thought they were, rather than increasing self-confidence. He has no choice but to quit relying on his idols for affirmation now that they have been ruined. Number 3. Madoka Kaname transforms from an average schoolgirl to a veritable god during the course of Puella Magi Madoka Magica. She's hesitant to become a magical girl at first since it appears terrible and deadly, and she can't think of anything she could ask for in return. She can no longer stand by and watch her friends suffer, so she makes a wish that kills the witches her friends are fighting while simultaneously transforming her into a deity. Nothing is more badass than that. Number 4. Ritsu Kageyama of Mob Psycho 100 appears to be very weak at first, lacking his brother Mob's amazing psychic abilities. Even after discovering his own hidden powers, he remains vulnerable since he hasn't gone over his fear and anger of his well-intentioned brother. He simply wants to rise to authority so he can feel superior to Mob, which makes him extremely vulnerable to outside influences. Only when he talks about his feelings with his brother does he become fully powerful. Number 5. Hajime no Ippo follows a protagonist who undergoes significant life changes. Ippo Makunouchi begins as a little boy who is tormented by his classmates. He's not really motivated when he first starts boxing, and has a reputation for being lethargic. He begins dedicating himself to training after his girlfriend threatens to split up with him. It's been a long, difficult trip, but he eventually gains enough strength to win 23 of his 25 encounters. Number 6. It's nearly hard for most of the characters in Attack on Titan to feel anything other than panic in the face of the man-eating titans at the opening of the series. Despite his determination to flee, Armin Arlert begins the series unable to defend himself or anybody else. Armin learns how to combat the titans via rigorous training and hands-on experience, and develops into a fearsome opponent with remarkable strategic ability. Number 7. Shu Ouma of Guilty Crown is initially adamant about not taking part in the struggle into which he has been forced. He doesn't want to be a part of his own life and prefers to be alone. Despite his protests, he is immediately bestowed with the tremendous power of kings, which allows him to extract weapons from his comrades. This causes him to join a conflict he doesn't want to be a part of, as well as learn to make friends so he may harness his power. He becomes less hesitant to fight in conflicts as the book goes, and he begins to make huge sacrifices to save the people he loves about, even absorbing a sort of magical cancer to save others from its horrifying effects. Number 8. The titular protagonist of Yona of the Dawn starts the series off in the lap of luxury, as the sheltered princess of the kingdom of Kauka. All of that changes when her father is assassinated, and she is forced to flee for her life. Following that, Yona must adjust to life in exile, and face the harsh realities of her former kingdom. The kingdom of Kauka, unbeknownst to her, is plagued with poverty, crime, and other problems. Yona puts her pampered personality aside and sets out to tackle the problems in her country, proving herself to be a leader worthy of her crown. Number 9. Simon is a frightened, terrified young guy with no real desire or drive at the start of Tenjin Toppa Gurren Lagann. He doesn't like being compelled to live underground, but he has no intentions to change his circumstances. When he meets Kamina, an older boy who wants to burst through to the surface, this changes. He eventually joins Team Gurren in the hopes of escaping imprisonment himself. Simon is satisfied to drift along at first, but when an accident strikes, he must step up and save his comrades. While Kamina can offer him words of support, it is up to Simon to complete the task. He succeeds, and from then on, he's a heck of a lot more powerful. Number 10. When Bungo Stray Dogs begins, Atsushi Nakajima has been kicked out of an orphanage and is on the verge of starvation. He ends up joining the armed detective agency at the behest of one of its members, Dazai. At first, he has no obvious powers, and when it becomes clear that he's accidentally evolving into a ferocious tiger, he becomes more of a liability than anything else. Atsushi, on the other hand, learns to control his transformations over time. In addition, his ability to solve mysteries improves, and he becomes an important voice of reason and morality within the agency. Number 11. The main focus of this fantastic anime is Class 3E, a group of students who, at first, appear to be weak and unmotivated, but who, with the help of their teacher, Koro-sensei, achieve their full potential. As a result, the majority of the characters go through polar attitude shifts, but Nagisa Shida's is perhaps the most notable. Nagisa begins the series without a clear direction. He's gloomy and doing poorly in school as a result of a tumultuous home life. When Koro-sensei, a tentacle monster with a smiley face for a head, becomes his middle school teacher, he and his classmates are given the task of eliminating the creature in order to save the planet. The process of becoming powerful enough to eliminate their teacher sharpens his physical and mental abilities, as well as his ability to collaborate with others. Number 12. Shinichi Izumi of Parasite is naturally terrified after becoming infected with an alien parasite. He has no idea how to deal with Miji, who has assumed control of his right hand, and all he can do is fear. Eventually, he learns to collaborate, rather than compete, with Miji to fulfill his aims of saving mankind and concealing his deformity. Shinichi is able to protect Earth from a parasitical invasion through teamwork, which would have been impossible at the start of the series. Number 13. Asta, despite his lack of magical abilities, lives in a magical world in Black Clover. And while everyone around him doubted his abilities, he still made it his goal to become a magic emperor, and worked hard to become a strong magic knight. By using anti-magic, he was able to change his minuses into pluses. He develops from a poor non-magic user to a third-class junior magic knight, who's a part of the elite Royal Knights unit. Number 14. Izuku Midoriya has no special abilities at the start of My Hero Academia. He's just a regular middle school kid. This is a problem because he wants to be a superhero, and the majority of his classmates have superpowers that they refer to as quirks. When Izuku does get a quirk of his own, he has to endure a merciless training program and multiple encounters with villains before he's able to harness a fraction of its full potential. While he still has a long way to go, he makes amazing progress in a short amount of time, and is soon able to stand up to enemies. Number 15. Ken Kaneki is a quiet college student who loves literature and lives in denial of his familial troubles at the start of Tokyo Ghoul. When he is attacked by a ravenous ghoul named Riz, the two of them get into an accident, which destroys his organs and necessitates the use of ghoul parts to replace them. He develops a craving for human flesh and becomes entangled in the underground realm of ghouls. He first just wants to settle into his new life with as little problem as possible, but after being kidnapped and subjected to a life of misery, his demeanor changes completely. In light of the incident, he is willing to fight for what he wants. Do you agree with our lists, or did we miss something? Comment it out below.